No way. Remove him. There you go. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah. Good job, the anime store. The anime store. Kudos to you. I salute you. What is going on, guys? It's Asicon here, and today we're finally going to be taking a look at my upgrades for the Final Fantasy starter kits, with the limitations being using only cards from the new Final Fantasy set and keeping all of the rares and mythics that are unique to the starter kits. First up, we'll be taking a look at the Cloud Planets Champion Precon. It's a Boros aggro deck that, in terms of the starter kits, is generally the faster of the two decks, and it's significantly easier to pilot, but it's also just very strong by itself in standard. Like, Boros equipment's surprisingly doing a lot. Plus, the job select mechanic is really fun and very flavorful to the set. It wasn't all that hard to upgrade this one in particular, but I did take out a lot of cards just because they weren't doing enough things, and Arena is kind of a hodgepodge of very powerful and disgusting interactions, given that there are 15 sets currently in standard. That's around 4,000 cards to choose from to make decks, and like picking from a small pool from one set is a challenge, but it's not impossible. We got there. I will show off some gameplay of this later on in the video. Let's get into what cards I put in more copies of. So we put in 2 copies of Freya because she is a mana dork for equipment spells or equip abilities, and this is a equipment themed deck. Plus, she has inherent flying on her own during your turn, so at the very least you can equip her with some of our more powerful equipments to get in some damage. Most opponents won't have flyers, not all, but you know, you'll get in some cheeky damage a few times. So Freya is very good. I limited it to 3 because of the legend rule, because there are a lot of legendaries in Final Fantasy and you can only have one of the same name card on the battlefield each time, so I don't want to overcommit to having too many in hand that I can't play. That's why I only limited to 3, despite her being very good. She's not a requirement in the opening hand, though it is very nice to have it. Steiner is a really good creature for equipment. The fact that he has lifelink by himself, plus he gets his own inherent stat boost based on the number of equipments you control, separate from having to wear the equipment themselves, right? So Steiner, if you have one equipment out, will be a 3/2 with lifelink, and usually the lifelink is enough to keep you in the game to possibly make a comeback, so that's really cool. Steiner does a lot of work. Also a 2 mana drop. Usually when they see him, if they know how powerful he can get, they will remove him. But because of also the legend rule, I have limited it to 3. Again, he's not required. Usually we're gonna win off of our actual job select equipments, and these are more of a bonus in case those said hero tokens get taken out. We kept Lightning, we kept Barret, because I think Barret's really a cheeky win con if you can get it to go off. Rosa, one of the rares, so I told you I kept the rares. Weapons vendor is here for card draw, and since I did keep Ultima weapon and its absurd 7 equip cost, I'd keep any method to cheat out equipments onto other creatures, and weapons vendor will do that for 1 mana at the beginning of combat on your turn. So this also works with one of our other equipments, which grants haste. That's very important. So at the very least, he can give it to himself if there's no other target, and he replaces himself with card draw. The 4 mana is kind of painful, but we're not a pure low cost aggro deck. Like, Cloud costs 5, so we would like to cast spells that are 5 or 6. Speaking of 5, Cloud and Grahatia stayed. Grahatia is a card draw quote-unquote engine. Usually just getting him to drop 1 or 2 cards might be enough for determining whether you win or lose. He does have reach, which is surprising to most people. 3/5 for 5, that kind of hurts, but again, I appreciate the card draw, the reach, and ability to block things usually. Beatrix, very strong, also very expensive at 6 mana. The vigilance kind of matters, because if you reach this late into the game, hopefully you've dealt with other problems on the board, so they have to now deal with Beatrix, which most likely you will have equipment on the field. She can magnetize as many equipments as you want to one creature. If she's the only one on board, she just wears all the weapons, and if you have Samurai's Katana, which grants haste, will go in for damage and can block for you next turn. So Beatrix, despite being 6 mana, is very powerful in this deck, and I said I keep all the rares. We upped the amount of suplexes to 3 because artifacts are very plentiful in Arena right now in any color combination. I'd like the option to exile them. Plus 3 damage, that's usually enough to kill a problem, and it exiles it. There are better versions of this card in Standard, but since we're limiting ourselves to the Final Fantasy set, this is the best version of this effect, so I'm keeping that in. 1 copy of Restoration Magic. This is just a clutch card in case, you know, you maybe cast Cloud or Beatrix and I've reached the late game where you want to win with these creatures. The hexproof in this is there, but it has come in clutch because of the life gain of the next 2 versions, which is Cura and Curaga. Also, that's pretty good. It's a sweeper protection in case that becomes relevant, so that's kind of cool. Thunder Magic, one of the more key removal pieces. Thunder Magic, the key removal piece early on in this 2 damage to target creature for 1 red. It's a shock, but it's a modal shock. Plus shock is not in the Final Fantasy set, so Thunder Magic, very good. Having 3 is annoying for your opponents. I'd put it to 4, but I've also wanted more card draw. And we are supplementing card draw with Opera Love Song because it has the option to either pump 1 or 2 creatures for an additional 2 damage to finish games. But you're playing this mostly for the first effect, which is to exile top 2 cards. You may play those until your next end step. Also take note that this is an instant speed spell, so you can play around your opponent's turn by faking them out with Thunder Magic or with Sid about to punch you in the face with Judgment Bolt. This is a very good effect for 2 mana, and at the very least you can also play lands off of this, which you kind of want to have access to given how Beatrix and Cloud cost 5 and 6. On to our actual main like win cons or gimmick of the deck, which is job select equipments. Surprisingly, I'm only running 9 equipments, 8 of them being job select because these are the best ones that I've used based on experience, and the last one being Ultima Weapon, which is a very spicy card. If you can cheat this into play and kill a creature, it's fun. It's just that, good lord, 7 mana, 7 equip. Like, the stat boost is crazy, but no trample either. That is tough. Dragoon Lance very good for a 2-drop early. Gives a 2/1 flying body because of the +1/+0 effect on a 1/1 colorless hero token. You're gonna get some cheeky hits in with this. A few people are gonna block the flyers, and usually if you take out their flyers, then just put down another Dragoon's Lance or give the lance to someone else. Samurai's Katana is the main damage dealer usually. The trample haste and the +2/+2 makes this functionally a 3/3 trample haste. So if they don't have blockers early on, you're gonna get in a lot of early damage with Samurai's Katana. Most players will ignore the trample, not realizing it has it. The equip 5 hurts, but if you're not beating them out early, usually you're gonna have 1 or 2 Samurai's Katanas waiting for whoever is gonna equip the next late game. This is the deck all-star, surprisingly. White Aura Sight. This is the key removal next to Thunder Magic. This is the key late game removal because it costs 4. The good thing is it can exile non-land permanents your opponent's controls and is a mana rock, so it replaces itself for 1 white. Since most of the deck is white, this is very good, and we're going into the late game because, again, Cloud, Beatrix, Ultima Weapon, 5, 6, 7 mana. I mean, those are the late game stuff, but still, it's not like it's absent. So White Aura Sight comes in very good most of the time. It's one of the best cards in Limited, and I find that it's annoying to deal with in Standard at the very least. So there you go, 3 copies of that. 4 would have been too much because of the mana cost, but you know, one of my favorite cards from this set. I did take out also 1 mountain because this is mostly a white deck, and 25 lands in the starter deck is okay, but since we did lower our curve significantly, I find that 24 lands is just enough. We still flood sometimes, but I wouldn't go lower than this just because you want to at least see 3 lands in your opening hand, hopefully in both of your colors. In Arena, I did replace the tap lands because it's very cutthroat in Best of 1, so the tap lands just hurt too much. If you're playing casually, you can totally keep these in paper, but if you're playing in Arena, I'd recommend at the very least swapping these out for whatever free rare Boros lands you have access to in Arena. You'll most likely have better options in Arena in Standard, so if you can find maybe even just a temple to replace this for the scry effect instead of this actual tap land in common, or just swap them out for a basic land for the speed. Like, you'll lose the color consistency, but for an aggro deck, lands coming in tap hurts. But if you're playing casual kitchen table stuff, you can totally keep this. If you like FF12 Rabinaster, like, that's fine, I can understand that. As for the cards I did remove, we removed I think 17 cards, 18, 19. We removed 19 cards. It's either they don't do enough for the speed of the format right now, they're overcosted with minimal effect, or just, you know, aren't as impactful as, say, the other things that we're currently running. I don't know how you say this. Co-URL. You can tap a non-enchantment creature. You'd rather be attacking than removing a potential blocker. Plus, it costs 2 mana to do so. I'd rather just spend that on a spell or, you know, thunder magic or something like that, instead of having this conditional removal on a summoning sick body, so you can't do this immediately too. Dwarven Castle Guard's okay, but I found that it's a little too slow, and the body it replaces itself with late game doesn't really matter. Like, sure, you can have a body to put equipments to, but at that point, why not just cast another job select equipment to make a new body, to then give it any other equipment lying on the ground at that point. Item Shopkeep, I had second thoughts about. It did well when the gimmick worked, where it grants the attacking equipped creature menace, but usually it's just a 2/2 that gets killed by something else, because you're usually either getting all the removal used on you or getting out aggroed by mono green birds. So sorry, Item Shopkeep. I like this card, especially in limited, but I had to cut all 3 because it just wasn't working out. Cloudbound Moogle, the plane cycling, I guess color fixing, but I don't know. It costs 5 and it gives a counter to something else. I couldn't justify keeping this 5 costed thing. Like, sure, it has plane cycling, but you know, what are you gonna do? I couldn't. I had to take it out. This one too. I love the art. It's the 4 Onion Boys from FF3, but it costs 7. No way I'm casting this. This was the first one to go. Slash of Light. This was working when it did, not enough when you had nothing on board. Like, maybe you could get minimum 1 or 2 damage if they killed your job select tokens. Fate of the Suncrist. I think this is kind of cheeky. You tend to forget that it costs 2 less when an attacker is coming your way at instant speed. But a non-land removal piece for 5, we already have that, you know, better in White Aura Sight, and that also replaces itself. So, you know, you can pretend it's 3 mana for White Aura Sight. So White Mage's Staff, this is okay, but I'd rather kill my opponents faster than I do gain life. Like the 2/2 for 2, sure, but I'd much prefer flying over the gain 1. There's nothing else here that benefits off of gaining life. This equipment just couldn't find a home, and it was just the 1 copy in the starter deck anyway, so we took it out. Warrior Sword. I really like Warrior Sword because it's the warrior from FF1, but the fact that it costs 4 and it's just a raw stat boost, if it had Trample, Menace, or First Strike, anything else. But alas, it had to go. The 4 cost, again. We were lowering our curve, saving the big stuff for, you know, the poster boy and his friends. The ones in the considering pile are the cards I removed. The deck price, this only increased by like $1. Like, all of the upgrades I made here are commons and uncommons that are dirt cheap. Yeah, this is easier to play in Arena, and it's a lot of fun. Boros aggro, very fun. For the Sephiroth deck, this was much more of a challenge given how slow the archetype is, and surprisingly, for the Dimir deck, which is known for control and removal, this had less removal than the Cloud Boros starter kit. Like, the base deck had less removal. I think the Cloud one had minimum 8. This had 6, and the removal costs at least 3. The other one being 4. So that's also not great. Plus, like, as a mid-range engine, it's not great. It wants to win via combat damage, which isn't enough. This took a lot of work. A lot of things changed. I tried to turn it into a pure surveil deck, but that was also too slow. You know, you can smack hard for damage, and it's a little cheeky. So first things first, I did keep the surveil idea because Ilmeg Pixie is very good. It has flying. It's gonna get in for some damage most of the time, and you have to get into terms that if it dies, it dies. You know, that's okay. 2 mana. Also, the way how I go around the high mana cost is throwing away a lot of the expensive cards I can't cast, and hopefully making a very, very powerful reanimation effect that gets me the win. Yeah, surveilling the big boys into the graveyard to draw something else, and hopefully you draw this, because you do get the choice. You get to look at the card first before you throw it away. You have agency with what you put in your graveyard, as opposed to the original deck, which had Shinra reinforcements, which just straight up milled you 3. sometimes it milled the only 2 reanimation spells in the entire starter kit. So I did not like that. The starter kit had 3, I added 1 more just to make the full set. And for more card draw and an additional blocker, because that's what I also found difficulty with this deck, I added 3 copies of Lock Cole. He has Death Touch, Lifelink, and if he hits an opponent, you get to draw a card and discard a card. That's kind of like still controlled graveyard stuff. You get to put in whatever you have in your hand. You'll usually get away with a few attacks if you have if you have Lock Cole early on, because they're not gonna want to block the Death Touch, and the Lifelink is good as a buffer against faster aggro decks. And if you're fighting aggro decks, they usually want to remove Lock first before they go in for damage. For the Surveil engine, I did add 2 rares, which the other deck did not have. The Cloud deck did not get any new rares. But this is a really cheap one, and it's a very good one. It's Matoya from FF4. Whenever you scry or surveil, draw a card. So you get the surveil effect first, and whether you keep it on top or throw it away, you will then draw immediately after. That's really cool. She also blocks really well, and when they see Matoya and see what you're doing, they'll usually try to remove her. But if not, you're gonna get away with at least a few cheeky card draws off of Ilmec Pixie and Dreams of Laguna, or the counter spell we did put in. So Matoya is very good. I wanted to run at least 3, but when I changed this off of Turbo Surveil and removed more Surveil pieces, I found that 2 was just enough. Like, getting the card draw is a bonus. It's not mandatory to trying to win with this. So that's why we're only at 2 copies. Again, I've kept all the exclusive rares in the deck. That's just a personal limitation of mine. So you got Zand, who gets very large. The menace is okay, but you know, when they see how big and scary he is, they usually remove him. So sometimes Zand is just bait for removal. But when he gets in for damage, that's a good, you know, premium bonus for me. Timor Flux, this is probably one of our actual win cons. It's a tad slow, but he also is a card draw engine for you. If he sticks around maybe for a turn, that's enough good value. He is a 6/6, so he will be the target of a removal piece, which is still a card from your opponent's hands. So Seymour Flux stays. Sephiroth, of course, is the poster boy. He's also one of the only methods of board wiping. There are no sweepers in the Final Fantasy set for blue and black, surprisingly. I think the only other option was Poison the Waters, which is just a -1/-1 effect. He's the poster boy. He gets to stay, right? Ultimecia, this is our sleep effect and our card draw engine, kinda, maybe. So usually this is how we end games, or at the very least draw enough to, you know, find another way to gain advantage on the board. Our sorcery package, we're keeping the Deadly Embrace removal piece because it's one of the rares. Keeping the 1 reanimation because, you know, we're throwing things in our graveyard. We do want to reanimate at least one of those things. Since we're also running a bunch of non-creature stuff, and I wanted a form of removal in addition to that, we're running Cornered by Black Mages. So this is an edict effect for your opponent. It forces them to sacrifice one of their creatures of their choice, of course, and you do create a Black Wizard token which will ping opponents for 1 damage for each non-creature spell you cast. As for our instant speed, this is how we protect ourselves for our late game, you know, shenanigans. Dreams of Laguna, I think the starter kit only had 2, so I added 1 more. The Surveil 1, then draw a card. So if you have Matoya out, you end up drawing 2, and it has flashback for 4, which I think is a pretty reasonable rate for flashback for this. So you can also throw this away into the graveyard and then cast it later if you don't need the card draw now. For our lower costed removal, I had to add Vane's Treachery. There's too many creatures that come out early. Mono red mice, good gravy. I wanted to keep a few other creatures for the kicker effect, but ideally you want this early game. And for your late game removal, you'd go with Overkill, which makes something -9,999, and that's gonna dance around indestructible. Hopefully that kills something, right? You know, it's not impossible for something to get above that, but usually it's gonna kill something that you target with. The other removal that I kept is Sephiroth's Intervention. The gaining 2 life is okay. It's overcosted, it costs 4, but the gain 2 life kind of plays enough where it puts you slightly out of reach of aggro sometimes, and is an instant speed, you know, removal spell. So you could be faking out. You wanna play safe on your early turns anyway, you know, and start playing things maybe by turn 5. The starter kit came with 3. I removed 1 because Overkill was more of my prime removal piece instead of Sephiroth's intervention. Swallowed by Leviathan, this is our only form of counter magic. I didn't realize that you get to surveil 2 first before you counter the spell, so at the very least, if this is your first spell, they have to pay an additional 2 in the late game. Your graveyard's gonna be stacked. If it's stacked by like 6 cards, nobody's gonna pay the 6 mana. I found this to work significantly better than something like, say, Syncopate, which is also in the set. We kept the Magitech Scythe. This kind of works because it's 4 mana, it auto attaches, and it only equips for 2. It's a pretty surprising stat boost, plus you get to force a blocker with first strike, so you'll usually kill whatever's blocking. At the very least, it's functional, it's a stat boost, it's okay, it's not as bad as I thought, that's what I'm gonna say. Plus, it's a rare from the set, so it stays. It has to stay. I'm just surprised at how well it actually has been working for me. Okay, so cheeky removal, non-removal in the set. Sleep Magic. You get to force tap something and it doesn't untap. If it gets dealt damage, it'll sacrifice the aura, but we have no means of doing that ourselves. So how I saw people bypass this was they would like shock or lightning strike their own creature just to get this off. It doesn't stop any of their triggered or activated abilities that don't need it to tap, so that is a problem. But if you're just fighting a raw big boy trying to hit you with, you know, tons of double strikey trampoly damage, putting them to sleep for a single blue is hilarious. There is the Stuck in Summoner's Sanctum, I think it's called, which is a better effect for 3. But, you know, like, we want to stop the early game as fast as possible. So having this being one of our only, I think the only turn 1 play. Yeah, the only turn 1 play in the deck, Sleep Magic. Underrated, surprisingly good. Would recommend. It's cute. Plus, it's one of the few cards that has Echo in it, so, in the card art. So yeah, we keep it that. We rockin' Sleep Magic. I removed, again, 1 land because it came with 25. I found that despite the curve being higher than the Cloud deck, 25 lands was still too much. And again, in Arena, I swapped out the Trino Dark City for more functional dual lands just because I have them in my collection. But again, if you're playing casual, like, you can totally just keep this or swap them out for more basics, which I actually recommend to increase the speed of the deck. And here are the cards that I removed. So 11 creatures. I removed the Sahagin because it only came with 1. It only gets a counter when you cast something for 4 mana or greater, and it's a 2-drop, so usually it's not great as a blocker. Turn 3s in standard are crazy, especially with Chocobos running about. So the 1/3 is not enough. That had to go. And again, I wanted to lower my mana curve enough. This would maybe fit better with the Is It gimmick in the Final Fantasy set, where it wants you to cast 4 mana non-creature spells, so Sahagin had to go. Undercity Dire-Rat, I was back and forth on this because I needed a body to block early on, but that wasn't working out as well as just a pure removal package. Aside from Vein Stretcher, I don't have any other means to forcibly sacrifice it to get the treasure, so that had to go. Albed Salvadors, this is not, again, a aristocrat deck. I don't have artifacts to sacrifice, so these boys had to go. Plus the 3 mana hurts just enough that I found it to be more of a detriment than an upside, so sadly I had to take them out. I do like this card very much though. In reinforcements, this really was more of a miss than a hit. The mill 3, it could have been Surveil 2 instead of mill 3. Like, I get it, there's a black-green mill Golgari package in here in the set. The gain 3 life was nice. It's nice for the starter deck battle, if you're just fighting the Cloud deck over and over again. The gain 3 life kind of matters between those two. But in most arena fights, 3 life, no. For a 2/3 body, plus you don't have any agency with what it mills. It might mill your only reanimation spell too, so that kind of sucks. Even in the starter kit, you only had 2 of these. And I found multiple scenarios where it did mill both of those spells, so not in this color pairing. No, black-green, but not in black-blue. Realm Sketching, I was so torn about this because I really like this card. It comes in really spicy, super clutch. You can copy opponents' things. I've also had a cheeky moment where I double -2'd the board by cloning Sephiroth and just keeping the original ones with the counters. But again, 4 mana, that is too much. and it's super conditional. You need to have a viable target, and an extra land token for 4, that's not enough. Like, it's fun, and I really like this card, but sadly it wasn't doing enough. Retrieve the Esper. This one is kind of poo-poo. It makes a 3/3 for 4. The rate is terrible. It has flashback for 6. Granted, the thing comes back. It's a 5/5, but who cares? The 5/5 do nothing, you know? And it only makes 1 of them. If it made 2 at the flashback cost, maybe? No, this really wasn't working. Like, I understand that you can surveil this or mill this and then play it later, but there's no benefit to having an artifact enter the battlefield. Like, if this was, say, the Rook turret or Golbez type of effect, this would be much more useful there, but no, this had to go. Evil Reawakened again, 1 is enough. So I have to take out the other one, and the Sephiroth's Intervention, that's just too expensive again. Replace it with Vayne's Treachery and more copies of Overkill that supplemented this better. And like I said, the 1 swamp, like it's mostly black, but also we do have a lot of early on blue. Balance it out because it has more swamps than islands, so we took out 1 swamp. And I found that's enough. So there are the upgrades for the 2 Final Fantasy starter kits using only cards from the Final Fantasy FIN set. You're of course free to add whatever cards you want. This is just a small suggestion on how you can go about this. I've mostly been playing these in Arena, and I've swapped out a lot of cards, and I found these to be like the most consistent. I have also been ranking up surprisingly with these starter kits. Like, I've beaten Shield Dread decks, I've beaten Izzet Prowess VV decks, I've contended with the Mono Red Aggro Mice, and even Screaming Nemesis, surprisingly. Like, Magic the Gathering, best of 1 of course, right? But still, you get to play the game for the most part. You know, it functions better than starter decks from yesteryear. Those were really bad. This is pretty good. Like, even out of box, it's pretty good. And you don't have to do my upgrades. You can do whatever you want. Like, you have 15 sets of standard to choose from. You can go crazy. You can, you know, turn this into a pure control deck. Like, I'm just sticking to the personal limitation of keeping all the rares. They are exclusive in this particular product, and I want to play with the splashy fun cards because they're fun. They're from Final Fantasy. It's amazing. If you like the video, please consider subscribing and, you know, sharing with your friends. What upgrades would you like to add to the deck? Are you gonna keep it within the set? Are you gonna turn it into a pure disgusting standard deck? Tell me how you go about your upgrades in the comments. I'd love to hear some suggestions that you have. But anyway, I'm gonna show off some gameplay, and I'll see you guys next time. Nothing? All right, let's just draw all our overkills. Blah blah blah. You have haste. Zand bead. Done Zand. Fast. You reanimate that shield rate, I'm gonna overkill it. I can do it at least once. Okay, Sock from 3. Let's go. Draw engine, abound. This becomes a land. Yes. Get him. There she is. Reanimate her. Good. Oh, didn't. Oh. Didn't even let me cast my Magitech Scythe. Oh well. We did it! It worked! My goodness. Okay, this looks decent. Oh shit. Whoa, it's Jace Chocobo! Aww. If only Jace wasn't an asshole. We got our removal. Oh no, is it prowess? Oh shit. Oh shit, that's dangerous. Get rid of it now. Before he gets bigger. Let's see if we can get Steiner to smack for damage. 3-2. We're most likely gonna swing with the Quarry Steel anyway. Potentially a 3-3? Oh, whoa, alright. Oh, okay. Oof. Better suplex. Oh, you got it. Dragoon, please. Thank you. Thank you. I might not survive because Izzet Prowess is very fast. Yeah, bounce a thing. That's fair. I don't think I can win this. Oh, fuck. Oh, I thought this was a commander card. It's an FIN card. Whoa, that looks cool. It's a wizard, not a black mage. Uh-oh. Bad. Oh, it's a bad. Good haste. Smap. Ow. Let's go. Another temple. Ask Freya first. We suplex. We suplex the thing. Play the temple. Describe us the other suplex. Get rid of one of these. Put this by. Do this. Give him a choice. Hit him for 4 at least. That's something. Bargain. It's gonna get bargain for sure. Bargain. The Quarry Steel Cutter. Whoa, what? For real? Huh. Interesting choice. Oh god, another one. Yu-Gi-Oh! What? Okay. Right. Please don't let me draw land. Please let me draw another katana. Oh fuck. Puede. Puede. Let's go. Ooh, no, oh no, counter spells. Oh shit. It resolved. Beatrix, please. Target creature I control. Make Beatrix blue. Make Beatrix blue, please. This. Oh, she's got no protection though. Hit for 8, if that's okay. Oh, thank God. I'm so scared. 2 cards in hand. Oh, alright. That's fine. Oh, shit. Can they? Can they trade with Beatrice? Oh, God. No, stop reading her. Shut up, Jace. No, leave her alone. I'm so scared. I'm so scared. This is a weird Izzet Prowess deck, though. Fucking Astrologians, whatever thing. Astrologians, Planisphere. Stop looking at her. Dude. Go past the turn, please. Ah! Ability is mandatory. I should have targeted Freya. He's got something. Fine. My God, what do you have? Oh! He had nothing! We did it! Holy smokes, we actually did it! And we're ranking up! Wow! Starter decks, man. Final Fantasy only. That's a really harsh restriction, actually.